I want to send my greetings to everyone in Genoa for the conference today from the European Parliament in Brussels. I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to join you because I would really have liked to come and discuss with you many of the challenges facing your industry. I had the pleasure of meeting many of you in Düsseldorf in January when we had a very successful mission of members of my committee who've been working on the Recreational Crafts Directive. And we had a chance to meet people from all sectors of the industry, from people building craft of all sizes, and from power units as well, and to understand some of the challenges that you're facing. And I know that it's a difficult time for the boating industry. It's a time when sales are not good, and indeed with many industries at the moment, at times of economic uncertainty, then people will obviously be tending to put off purchases, but on the other hand looking after their existing boats, maybe looking to modernise or improve them. So I'm very pleased that our colleagues in the European Economic and Social Committee are having a broader look at issues around the structure of the industry, and that's obviously going to be very important for all of us. And it's very much in line with the whole ideas that Mr. Tajani will be talking about, I know, on being active in understanding the needs of particular sectors from the perspective of industrial policy. Because for me and my colleagues in the Internal Market Committee, that policy is providing for you the best possible and most active conditions to allow your industry to be globally competitive, to sell products not just with ease across the European single market, because you have simple conditions to do that, but also to be able to sell them globally as well. Now, as many of you know, that for the last year or so that I've been leading the process in the Internal Market Committee, and I'm chairman of that committee, but also it's been my privilege to be given the responsibility to look after the particular directive on recreational crafts. And I think that's partly because coming from the background in manufacturing industry and being an engineer as well, that I understand the technical issues involved. And I hope you feel that we in the Parliament have responded to the proposal from the Commission in a very productive and I would say constructive way, and made a number of important improvement proposals to the directive. And just to tell you that the final process of approval of the directive, we're hoping is going to accelerate over the next few months, because any European directive is an agreement in final agreement between the Commission who proposed it, and then ourselves and the governments, the 27 governments, who are the co-legislators. We've made some proposals, the government experts are looking at the proposals, and we hope over the next few months, under the leadership first of the Cyprus presidency, the Cyprus experts who are chairing the meeting, and then the Irish experts, to bring that together so that we can get that agreed and give you a clear platform going forward. Well, now, through this message, I'm not going to go through the details of that because that's not really the topic of the discussion. But just to say, first of all, it's not too late, of course. If there are some further issues that you really feel we haven't got to grips with, you can talk to us about them. But I think that the most important things that we've looked at are, first of all, to see that this directive is going to give you a simple and clear set of rules under which you can put your products on the market, knowing that they will appeal to consumers because of their quality and their safety and their environmental performance. And it's those things that I think, particularly safety and environmental performance, are the intersection between the public policymakers and industry. And I think we've got the balance right there in clarifying some of the issues, making sure that you have a single market in which you can market your product, because it will carry those European markings, that it shows that it complies with the provisions of the Recreational Craft Directive. But also, and this is true particularly for the marine power units, we've been extremely sensitive about the opportunity to create a global standard for emissions for marine power units. Now, that's been quite a big argument in the committee, because in some cases that's meant slightly lifting some of the levels for certain types of power units. but we've been convinced it's the right thing to do, because you are, after all, competing in a global industry. But what we've said is, and we did this in discussion with the powertrain manufacturers, well, to say in exchange for agreeing for that global framework at the moment, we also do set you the challenge of looking to further improve the emission performance. And we understand that will be a long-term investment program. It may mean a reconfiguration eventually of some of the smaller marine power units. But that is built into the framework. It's, if you like, part of future-proofing the framework. The other thing that we've spent a lot of interesting time and debate on, and also commissioned our own expert report, which is available on the Parliament's website, and I'm sure many of you have seen it, is the whole question of design categories. And by the way, I hope that you feel that the fact that we've commissioned and invited an expert to come and write a full report for us shows how seriously we're taking this particular piece of legislation. You know, this may be a very specific piece of legislation for your sector, but we do take our responsibilities seriously in the European Parliament, and we know that we can only produce good legislation by being well informed about it. Now, that report, I think, confirmed our view that the existing design categorization standards for recreational craft are far from ideal in the world that we live in going forward. We propose design categorization based on clear numerical and specific targets related to weather conditions and wave heights. In other words, the conditions under which the boats will be designed. But what was striking from the report that we had was that our expert pointed out that because of the way those categories are currently segmented, that a vast majority of boats actually come in the one smaller category, and there's no sub-segmentation there. Now, it may well be that our proposal here is a step too far to begin with, but I hope at the very least, when we come to review it with governments, that we will have precipitated some real discussion about the need to look at those design categories and to ensure essentially that we have categories that are adapted to the needs of the market, that craft don't need to be over-designed for certain conditions, and making them more acceptable for consumers. On the other hand, consumers who really know what they're going to use a craft for in severe and difficult conditions know exactly what they're getting. We'd welcome your contribution to that. I'm sure it'll be one of the things that you will talk about in the meeting. So just in conclusion, we very much look forward to seeing the results of your meeting. I'm sure you'll come and communicate those to us. I hope you'll continue to follow the process and contribute to the final agreement on the Recreational Craft Directive. But of course, our work together won't stop there. One of the things that the Parliament is starting to do much more seriously, and I very much welcome this, it's something I've been campaigning for a long time, is to ensure that when we put regulations in place, we don't just forget about them. We monitor what's going on, we look at feedback, we put in a review clause for the Commission to formally come back to us. Because it's no good sitting here in Brussels, relatively far from the marketplace, and however much we discuss things, how these rules work on the ground, how they're applied by the regulators, the people responsible for market surveying, the people who issue certificates, any ambiguities around that, it's very important that we keep that feedback up. We encourage the Commission to be the point of contact for that. But of course our colleagues in the Economic and Social Committee and MEPs that you work with will be very pleased to hear from you how this regulation is operating. So I hope that you have a really good conference in Genoa, and I look forward to our continued contact, and certainly I hope to be back at Düsseldorf in January, and we may have a chance to meet many of us to see how things are going, but I hope that by January we'll have a clear view about an approval, final signing off timetable for our Recreational Crafts Directive. Thank you very much for listening.